Hi everybody, this is Lee. With this video, I'm talking about the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, the TTIP, one of the three major trade deals that became such an anathema during the 2016 November elections that despite the secrecy and lack of transparency, people began to realize just how harmful these trade deals, the big three, would be to the North American public, and that this was also known in various countries around the world who were also involved with the trade deals. And with Donald Trump's presence on the political scene, and then also Bernie Sanders, that the the public became even more informed about the harm being caused by these trade deals, to the point that Hillary Clinton had to back away from her earlier support for the trade deals such as Trans-Pacific Partnership. And it did not help her cause during the 2016 race for president that Barack Obama remained an ardent supporter of Trans-Pacific Partnership. Trans-Pacific Partnership was ultimately taken off the table, and all indications seem to be that it remains off the table. But again, being as how there's lack of transparency, it's always important to remain vigilant, even as we know that President Trump has met with the Japanese Prime Minister, and that Mike Pence has made trips to Asian nations. So people are remaining watchful about Trans-Pacific Partnership, although Mike Pence seems to indicate that TPP remains off the table. TISA, the Trade and Services Agreement, is very quiet right now. Not much is known about the current status. There's information provided by Julian Assange of WikiLeaks about TISA, but as far as recent news, it seems not to be so much being said about it. It's the TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, that's kind of creeping back into the news. That Donald Trump seems to be softening his stance, because it seems like he's not being given a choice other than to do that. That he seems to prefer actually bilateral agreements with individual nations rather than an all-encompassing trade deal, monster-sized trade deal. The only problem is that, preferred partner would be the United Kingdom, but because of Brexit, Donald Trump will not be able to form a bilateral trade deal legally with them until like 2019. And so he's ready to deal now. And so it seems like he's ready to mix it up with the European Union, sort of, somewhat. He did attempt to establish bilateral trade deals with individual states in the European Union, and it was rejected. For instance, with Angela Merkel, she redirected him, saying like, you have to deal with the European Union. We can't go direct. You have to go through the European Union. And so I don't know if that's kind of their weird interaction that they had in that viral video where Donald Trump seemed to not want to shake her hand out. They don't tell me about things like this. I just, look and see if I can figure out what are they doing. But anyway, and so Donald Trump seems to be facing reality that he cannot establish his favored bilateral trade agreements. If he wants to trade with member nations in the European Union, he has to go through Brussels. And so he seems to be sort of warming up to that idea. And so we should all be alert, right? That there's been flip-flops from the Trump administration on just about everything. The war or the military action against Syria, the jobs, the infrastructure, where's that? Has anybody seen it lately? Also, now trade. I mean, remaining firm on TPP, apparently. We hope, we think. TISA, we're not sure. TTIP, it seems like something may be in the works. And so I am going to post links to recent articles about TTIP in the description so you can see what the status is or what it might be. People are speculating right now. However, thankfully, the citizens of the European Union, the ordinary citizens like you and me here, are very much opposed to TTIP. And it was mostly direct action on their end, European Union citizens, that defeated the TTIP, or at least delayed it, while citizens here in the United States were focused on defeating the TPP. So we had help, thankfully. We also may be having unexpected help in the form of Donald Trump himself. Of course, he delayed negotiations because other nations realized how cold he was to the idea of these large trade agreements that were perceived as being very detrimental to the United States. And so they backed off negotiations. Apparently, Donald Trump has been talked to on various things, and so he's softening his stance. But the citizens, again, of the European Union are still opposed to TTIP. And not only that, they are also opposed to Donald Trump, who is now the face of North America. And so, between all the actions he's taken about denying climate change, not participating in the Paris Agreement, the war action or military action in the Middle East, continuing that, and then also the denial of visas or travel bans. These have not gone over well. In fact, that it has only increased the hostility not only against TTIP, which remains constant, but then also against Donald Trump. And so it may be our own president who assists us against these trade deals despite himself. And so we can be thankful, I guess, in that respect. I don't know. I try to see the bright side of everything I can lately. But it is good to remain watchful. These trade deals are negotiated in secret. Sometimes things leak out. We see careful statements being released to media. And then, we count on us, each other to spread information about, the status of these deals. The unfortunate inclusion of the investor-state dispute settlement, which seems to not be going away. Also, we have to remain vigilant on NAFTA too. The fact that Donald Trump indicated that he wanted to renegotiate NAFTA, and he seems to be flip-flopping on that, or saying like maybe it's not so bad, or it's hard to pin Donald Trump down. He's flipping, he's flopping. We all have to keep up the best that we can. Anyway, I'm going to leave links to a couple of articles about the current status of the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership. That it's all speculation right now. That people are kind of like talking around it and kind of whispering and making careful public statements. But the fact that it's been revived in news lately kind of indicates that it's time to be watchful again once more on this and the Trade and Services Agreement, and then also keep an eye out for the TPP. Hopefully that it will not rise again. But thankfully, our fellow citizens in the European Union, not necessarily, it seems like in the Asian parts of the world, but definitely the European Union, we look to our fellow citizens to help us maintain sovereignty and protect our environment, protect renewable energy, which is specific for Germany, certainly. And then also, even in countries such as France, where they're still trying to decide who's going to be the leader of France, they're in the midst of elections. and trade and jobs and protectionism, nationalism is a current issue. And then Angela Merkel of Germany, she's going to be involved in an election. And so some things are uncertain right now. We'll have to see what Europe's going to do, the leadership, how those elections are going to go. And then, of course, the citizens of the European Union, um, things like that. And so, watch and understand and research and keep vigilant is what I recommend. Good luck.